told who Buddha was and what's New Age religion, and they told what that was, and then it's like, hey, who's Jesus Christ? And they're like, I'm sorry, I don't understand. Like, who's Jesus? Like, oh, at this moment, I can't tell you. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, wouldn't acknowledge who that was. Mm-hmm. And that just by itself just seems really strange that why you're erasing that from anything unless it was for some sort of dark or deviant reason.
Yeah.
So then you believe in a creator or a God, right?
Or yeah, no? Like in some form of higher intelligence that created us.
So then you believe the world was made for us as opposed to a Big Bang evolution, or where do you stand on that?
I don't know.
You have thoughts on it.
Yeah.
So let's hear them, man.
So I don't believe that there was a Big Bang.
Me either.
I believe like. Oh man. Okay. So.
Yep.
I'm a scientist, so like oh man. Okay. So like I have a degree in psychology.
Okay.
And so a lot of people call people like us that we suffer from abnormal psychology, or like we suffer from some sort of disorder. But that's not the case, because it doesn't like actually like. They call it like fanciful thinking in psychology, mm-hmm. or like magical thinking, and that's when it kind of like leads towards like a mental disorder, and that's what people associate like me and you as.
You and I.
Thank you. You and I as, and they associate that with us, but like, so like when you use logic and hold it to science of like what is like. Einstein said like time is circular, and he talks about like string theory, but how can like time be circular and but appear linear to us? Well, that's because like when you're flying on a plane, the plane, like other than like sharp turns, mm-hmm. it's flying in an arc, but you appear to be going straight. Mm-hmm. So when you're on a globe or when you're in a circle, what is circular appears linear. Mm-hmm. So time is actually circular, but it appears linear to us because this universe or this realm is a string to another consciousness or another realm of existence.
Ooh.
So it's string theory. Like we are a part of it, but yet we are living within it. Like our world is built within string theory, but it also helps build another reality's string theory. So like. Yeah, and then like there is a lot of like with the pyramids popping up everywhere. If this is true, this scientist went to like the pyramids and he measured chemicals within like the main chamber.
Okay. And
like the main pyramid of Giza is missing like its top.
Yeah.
And like he was saying like you could make like a massive like power generator with it, with the chemical reaction in the top to like contain it, and like he was suggesting that it was the Atlantean version of what Nikola Tesla was building, and to like give free power to all the cities around it, and so I believe that as long as like science backs it up, but like,
Tesla's the man. I think.
Yeah, like you got to think in like even Einstein said, like, someone was like, how's it feel being the smartest man? And he's like, I don't know, you have to ask Nikola Tesla when they were both alive together.
That's true.
And so Tesla said, I always mess this quote up, but like the secrets to the universe, if you want to know the secrets to the universe, you got to think in frequencies, vibration, and energy. And so just combining that with like what is, like it's just like, I don't know, there's just a lot of knowledge out there.
There is.
But, yeah, what else do you want me to talk about?
Oh, hold on. I hate Albert Einstein.
Oh, you
I hate him. He's a shill. He's a piece of shit. Mm-hmm. He worked for the powers that be. Nikola Tesla was the man. Yep. He doesn't. Nobody teaches anything about Tesla in school, but instead we hear about Albert Einstein. Yeah. He's an asshole. His theories, I'm sorry, I don't know about the string one that well, so I can't comment on it. But since it's a theory, I already fucking hate it. Yeah. The theory of relativity was made because an experiment failed. And they're like, hey, Einstein, we need you to fucking make this, equation work. And it came, here, theory of relativity. That'll solve everything. And it was in response to either Aries failure or the Michelson-Morley experiment.
Oh, interesting.
Which you should look that up. I think it may have been Aries failure. What they did was they tried to set up. They did something with a telescope where they were showing the Earth moving, you know, and they ended up failing. It showed the Earth didn't move, and it showed that the stars revolve around us. They're like, motherfucker, we can't have that. So they're like, Einstein, we need you to fucking solve this. And Einstein said, oh, easy. The theory of relativity will solve that.
Interesting. Okay.
So I want you to maybe look up some of that shit.
I'll look. Yeah.
That's
I'll
really.
look up that
That's all I want to say on it. I want you to look yourself because I don't want anyone to believe what I'm saying. You need to go look and research yourself.
No.
You know, don't fucking trust
sure.
me. I'm just a fucking idiot spouting off shit.
So, right. Yeah. Likewise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so about the medicine.
Yes. Do you want to, now that we have this going, do you want to talk about the AIDS thing?
Yeah.
I would love to hear about that, and so does everybody else.
Yeah. So they cured AIDS back in 2007 with the Berlin patient. What they did is the Berlin patient, he had AIDS and leukemia, and AIDS hides in the helper B cell through two protein pathways. And there's people who are AIDS resistant, and they have a mutation on one protein pathway. And there's people who are fully immune to AIDS, and it's like something like 2.7% of the population estimated is fully immune to AIDS. And they have a mutation on both the protein pathways. And so what they did is they found someone who was a match with him donor-wise, and he went through chemotherapy and it wiped out all of his immune system and his fast-growing cells, and they gave him an immune transplant, and lo and behold, once his immune system came back, the helper B cells were fully immune, and then they just went and wiped out, since AIDS couldn't hide in them, they went targeted AIDS, and he's, to this day, still cured of AIDS. But also, this could be used for, like, other things, for, like, autoimmune diseases, asthma, like, anywhere where, like, the immune system, like,
herpes.
Yeah, herpes, like, you could give someone, like, just a super immune system, and it takes out the need for a lot of these vaccines. And then vaccines themselves have these high dosage of what's called antigens, I believe. We'll have to look that up. But it's like this little. It goes and it targets. It's supposed to go and target the dead bacteria for the immune system to go and learn about and attack. But sometimes they'll hook onto like a skin cell, and that's how you get like eczema.
Yeah.
I was thinking of the spelling.
Right.
Eczema and psoriasis is like, and that's how you get like irritable bowel syndrome sometimes, and just different digestive disorders. Also, it could be used because there's people whose immune system like are really good at fighting off cancer, and like you could give like you can like see and like check like who has like these hyperimmune systems or like these super defensive immune systems, and give that to people who are a match with them,
right?
You know, donation wise, and that takes out a huge need for a lot of big pharma and a lot of these like nationalized or just regionalized hospitals.
Quick to prescribe.
Yeah.
Too quick.
What else? Oh, they do studies on us. On like the public people. Like a lot of the college students for like antidepressants and anti-anxiety meds and new generation of Adderall are experimented on. They put us on high dosage. I was one of them. I went in there for I went in there for just 15 milligrams of Adderall, and my doctor at the time had mentioned something about getting just one instant at the end of the day, so like it wouldn't last long in my system, but like I'd still have like a good focus on. My doctor was gone for the day, and some lady I've never seen in like a really fancy suit came in and like started talking about Vyvanse, like this new drug. And she's like, well, it's not as strong as Adderall. And she prescribed me 60 milligrams.
1 moment. Spokane Super Tattoo. Yes, what is it you're wanting to do? Oh, perfect. Okay, what we'd want you to do is come down to the studio so we can take a look at the design, see where it's going to go on you, print it off, size it, make sure that we're able to do it the proper way, because when we're doing a guitar, it has a lot of detail in the fretboard, all the strings, possible knobs. We want to see how much of the detail you want that you're going to keep, if we're going to be able to keep, depending on the size. So we would like you to swing in for a consultation so we can kind of, size it, sit down, go over it. Then we can give you a cost and set up an appointment and go from there. Yes. Oh. Gotcha. And what we can do is, how about this? Actually, you have this picture, correct? I would like you, can you send it to an email? Because then we can look at it. If you can, in the email, leave some description of what you like about it, what you could live with not being there, where it's going on your body, the size that you're wanting it, up and down, left and right, because then we can print it off that size, take a look at it, kind of digest it, and then give you a shout back and give you a little more information that way, because since you are a distance away, we can work, over the phone and through the email this way. Okay, perfect. Let me write down some things here. This is a... One moment. Yeah. Yes. Nope. No, they must be lying, I think. I don't, you know what? And here's the deal. I don't believe most of these people have all these appointments. For us to get an appointment, you have to leave a non-refundable cash deposit, and most of these people, they may have appointments scheduled, but we don't know if they're going to show up or not. If people leave money, then they come in. So, no, we can get to you sooner than that. Probably not. I'm not going to lie to you, probably not. We have to see the thing first and kind of, we have to look and see. And just so you know, a guitar, I won't lie to you, a guitar sucks. It's not a fun design to do. It's freaking, again, because of the details in it, like the fact that there's 6 strings and the fretboard, they're just not the easiest designs in the world. So, chances of having it ready to go by tomorrow, I definitely cannot. I have a full day appointment already tomorrow. I would have to check with the other artist here. But the first thing would be checking out the design and such. So, do you have a pen and paper by chance? Okay. Jeremy, which is Jeremy, and then Oungman, so Jeremy Youngman with only one Y, at gmail.com. All right, and what was your name again? Chad. All right, let me write down Guitar and Wings. And what is your phone as well? Yes. 631 4176. Okay, send that off, and then we'll be giving you a shout later on in the day. All right, hey, Chad, thank you so very much, man. All right, bye-bye. Ha! Guitar with Wings. Real fucking fun one. He's like, if I send you the picture, do you think we could do it by tomorrow? I'm like, I don't think so, man. I don't think so. All right, so do you remember where you were at?
So they're experimenting on like college students.
That's right.
So like the Aurora shooting and the Sandy Brook one.
Sandy Hook?
Yeah, Sandy Hook. They were on a high dosage of antidepressants and anti-anxiety medication.
Uh-huh.
And they did this to me in college. Like, they put me on 60 milligrams of Vyvanse, stating that it was not as strong and slower acting than Adderall. And what they did is they kind of beefed up the amphetamine. There we go. And they just paired it with lysine, which is an amino acid. but that amino acid can be synthesized in the blood. It doesn't have to be digested in the stomach, and that's what they were thinking, is like it would have to be digested in the stomach and it would be slower to get and kids wouldn't be able to abuse it. But it was quite the opposite. Like it made it be able to go into the blood sooner and quicker. And then they put me on like these high dosage of it, and like it just had like these drastic effects on my personality and just different various things like that. And they did the same thing with these kids at the Colorado State guy. I even believe, I don't know, I didn't look into it, but the Virginia shooting too, that college student, they put us, they'll just prescribe them like anti-anxiety or anti-depressants, and it's like this new antidepressant, or they'll be labeled bipolar because in college, like they'll like have like a good month, or they'll have like a good like week or so it'll make it look like they're bipolar, but they're actually not, and they'll put them on these psychoactive medication. That's medication that messes with your psyche, that completely changes people's personality. And like I can honestly say, like when they say like it wasn't them doing it, like they're just watching this body happen, and like there's like these like the reason why like on all these commercials now it says may cause suicidal ideation or may cause violent tendencies is because they know from Aurora and Sandy Hook and the Virginia shooting and all these shootings, like not like all the high school ones, but like all the ones where they're on high medication, and you can see it in their eyes, like they're just these shell of human beings, and they have no idea why they did it. It's like this thought pops into their head, and they just go with it, and they're not at the controls. Like it's just the body is acting on this thought, and
Co-pilot,
and it's this medication that has completely changed their personality and their thinking pattern, and it's disconnected them from the world, and the world feels plastic. Like when you have this personality change, like this door doesn't feel real. It feels like the ultimate AI is when you have this disconnect from everything, and it's very intense. And that's what's going on with these shootings. Is it's not these kids' faults. It's these farmer companies messing with people when they don't know what they're doing, and they're just like, oh well, go play in society, and now we have to deal with the results, and those kids have to deal with the results of what they did because they couldn't control themselves.
And is it an agenda to get the guns off the street so that they can control us easier too?
Yeah, oh definitely.
Let's have some millennials tell me what to fucking do with my life.
Oh, and then so this is going to be very controversial, but it's pretty much fact in psychology. Like these kids are doing it to themselves. Like teachers have no power. We're not like if you look at like other animals, how they teach their young to behave. Like it's okay to like nip like gently put like hands on them. I'm not saying like we go back to like the 50s and like backhanding them, you know, but like we're not teaching them what is okay behavior and what is accepted. And then like that kid down in Florida State, he's the
Nicholas Cruz.
Yeah, he's the real victim there. Those kids, they if you listen to the
knew
interviews,
about it too, right?
they knew he was alone. And there's this
false flag?
Yeah, well no, yes, and I gotta get to the definition of that. But yeah, so there's this girl interview that proves my point. Is there's this girl interview.
It's not filming
where she goes on camera and she even smiles in the middle of the interview, and she goes, "Yeah, I was walking out next to him when he was trying to."
The blonde
escape."
girl.
Yeah.
The blonde girl.
She smiles and she was enjoying it, and she was like, "Yeah, I said to him, I'm surprised it wasn't you." They knew it was him. They knew they were pushing him to a level where you can't control, and those kids are psychopaths. Like you'll hear Jordan Peterson, and you'll hear every single like most psychologists who deal with child development. Little kids are psychopaths. Like we even have a law here in Washington where it's like forgiveness up until like 8 years old, where you don't understand what you're doing. Like if like a kid grabbed your gun or something like that,
it's got to be taught. There should not even be a option of that.
Well, yeah, but
sorry.
I'm gonna clear this table and put it away and sit here.
Like there's even like a law for like this psychological principle of like kids, like they're little walking talking psychopaths in the sense like they don't have the frontal lobe development.
Yeah.
They don't have the emotional and moral development, and that's like our job is to shape and like structure that. And these schools are little breeding hunting grounds for psychopaths and sociopaths because it just lets them act on pure biological instinct.
Yeah.
And that's not a society you want, because in that society it's okay to walk around and act like primitive animals, and that's like that's a violent society, because
Yeah.
that's what nature is violence. Is when you work on the animal instinct of pure survival. Like, that's the gift really of that humans have been given, is to like sit and think and control, and like that's not what we're doing. We're not thinking about what we're doing here. We're just doing it, and we're being led by psychopaths, and you can see it in our kids. Like, there's these dramatic principles, like there's a lot of truth in some of those. I don't know if you've checked those out, but like as above, so below, and like you can see it with our leaders are psychopath, and like there's even like a psychological principle. There's a book you should check out by Edward Bernays called Propaganda. Edward Bernays is a nephew of Sigmund Freud.
All right.
And Edward Bernays, he was obsessed with social psychology, Bandura, and what he did is he collected all of this, all of the classics of social psychology, and he created a book called Propaganda, and the Nazis used it to gain power. So much so that he was almost put on trial in the Nuremberg trials, because all the top officers of the Nazi party had Mein Kampf and Propaganda, the book by Edward Bernays.
Wow.
And, yeah, Propaganda was so criminalized after the Nazi party that Bernays put it through Propaganda and like reshaped it, and now Propaganda is known as public relations.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of like influence that way. Where was I going with that?
You were happy about talking about it too, remember? Oh, well, you were gonna mention, I guess, false flag stuff too.
Oh yeah, so false flags just aren't like these things where like the government does it. Like they don't intend, like, so like Pearl Harbor was a false flag in the sense that they let it happen intentfully, so it would push an agenda that they
9/11 too, kind of.
Yeah, 9/11 was a false flag where that was an inside job, but like like these school shootings are false flags because they know they're going to happen. They know they're creating this scenario and this situation, and they're just letting it happen to push an agenda. And that's how it's a false flag. Is like it's too much work for them to go around and like construct it, but it's really easy. Like, it's really easy to shake up like a canister of gas and toss it next to a fire and be like, yeah, that's probably gonna go off, and then use that explode and be like, oh, we should outlaw gas, or like, you know, like like fireworks. Like if you don't teach people.
Just put your arm right there, and then.
Like you know what I mean. Like they use it to they use like these moments of opportunities instead of using it as like a learning lesson and like keeping freedom going of like free will and choices and like letting us expand. They use it as like a moment to like push the agenda, and that's like how it's a false flag.
Do you believe in MK Ultra?
Yes, there's my I can prove that.
You can. Whoa. Okay. All right.
So mind control went through. Oh wait, I need to track back real quick to Propaganda. So the power of this book, Propaganda, Edward Bernays, the CIA was using him to overthrow that's how the CIA learned to do government coups. And the last person to talk to Edward Bernays alive, except for his own family, was Steve Jobs. And and Steve Jobs spoke with him after he left Mac the first time and came back, and that's how he knew to like create that Mac, like your own Mac with the color, and it can only get on the internet. He knew to set that trend from Edward Bernays. He knew to do the silhouette, because like there's these principles in that book, Propaganda, that if you're not aware of and you're not constantly thinking of, that's how advertising works. Like that's how they grab you. It's like this is like the fundament. This is like the keystone to that world.
Yeah.
To everything that advertising, and thus by a greater extension, mind control is done. So like mind control is done where like they over influence you, and like they can like set it up for like through like the feeds on your phone, and mind control like through the radio. They condition you. Like if you notice, like every song on like mainstream radio is actually sad. Like it's either like it's either singing like sad lyrics and like really messed up lyrics, or it's like has a sad tone but like happy lyrics.
Yeah.
And then so what they do is So hypnosis, circling back to Sigmund Freud. Sigmund Freud was a genius in a lot of senses, like, and he was also wrong in a lot of senses, like pretty evidently. But he knew to quit doing hypnosis because there's a thing called he was just implanting these memories. He knew he was implanting memories, and that's how hypnosis works. And like lesser mind control works, where it, like you get entranced and they put these thoughts in your head. And so like a lot of his like top 40 music is like about like breaking up and like all these like divisions and like dividing us, and like that's what like the top 40 is, and it keeps us depressed and keeps us divided in these cliques instead of coming together and working together. And that's what mind. But there is like mind control, like movie actors go through like the hardcore MK Ultra mind control, where like they'll give you like drugs similar to acid, where and like they'll
split your personality.
yeah, well, and that's the side effect. Like, look at Kanye, is where like it like this. So it's similar to multiple personality disorder. Like it causes a split. Like everyone has different personality. Like it's like a bunch of Venn diagrams of like stuff you like, of different styles, different influences, you know, and like just like this nice little what is you, and then like. If you think of it almost like a crystal kaleidoscope, when like that gets messed with through like MK Ultra and like these high level of like even like antidepressants will do it, like that's where like you have these personality fractures, and like people really like struggle with like their personality and stuff after they go through that stuff. Like with Kanye having like a huge swing, like you can tell he just went through it. Now he's a Trump supporter. Okay, like yeah, we like it's pretty obvious what's going on there, and like what's her name? Scarlett Johansson went through it for her role in what's it called? Ghost of a Shell.
Ghost in the Shell, huh?
Yeah, like different like you can just like they like go through like these just personality, like you can just see it. Like there's this transformation. And like yeah, like Britney, like a lot of like, and if they don't take this, so like it, like there's like a comparison to be made from Akon from back in the day and Kanye West. Like Akon kind of split off and started doing like philanthropy stuff and like helping like African tribes and villages, and didn't like take the metaphorical blue pill.
Right.
And Kanye took the blue pill, and then like they started like producing his mind control music, where it's like it influences you. So the way like radio works is like they hypnotize you with so going like with pop music, because I've been analyzing it for a while. Like they'll hypnotize you with like a song, like just like an upbeat song, like what's it, the Spearmint Gum.
You break me off a piece of that?
No, well,
some pop song on the radio?
yeah, they'll entrance you with like an upbeat, like just pop song, and then they'll like play like whatever it is like they're trying to like push, like the depressing, like either if they want you to be like angry and like spending money or get you activated, or keep like at a time they want you like depressed, then they'll like play a depressed song after they hypnotize you, and that's how they control like your mind. It's like they control your mood, so like your emotions control you, but like it's really cool because like once you know you like you're having an like. So there's a thing in emotional psychology called emotional hijacking, and once you know you're having an emotional hijacking, and you know like it's anger, or you know it's fear and anxiety for like panic attacks, and you know the source of it, or like and this word's kind of been ruined, but you know the trigger of this emotional hijacking, you can control it and slow it down. Same with advertising and this mind control. Once you know it and like you like understand where it's coming from, you can start to like ignore like their influences, but it's like it's always there.
Right.
Like advertising wouldn't be $1 trillion industry, or like multi-billion-dollar industry if it wasn't effective. And
they play the right commercials at the right times for the right shows that are on too.
Exactly. And
you know, it's freaking amazing.
I don't know what else to share that I know.
What do you think about, let's see, I don't know, have you heard of the motherfuckers who think mountains are trees?
Oh yeah, that. Oh,
I can't get behind that one.
I can't either. But,
Okay.
So it's kind of fun to play with though. So like I'll be honest, like I took them seriously when they said don't grow up and like always be a kid, you know. And so like I'll watch like the History Channel show Ancient Aliens.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't believe in all of it, but it sure is fun to think like there is a massive tree, right? Like,
I like the idea, and you know what? I used to watch Ancient Aliens, and I was like, wow, this makes sense. How could humans build the fucking pyramids? I'll go with aliens.
Yeah.
And now, I don't believe in aliens anymore, man. If I believe in aliens, they look like you and I.
Yep.
They're from a different realm, a different dimension, not motherfucking outer fucking space in the sky.
Okay.
In my humble opinion.
Yeah.
So, like, okay, so for an example, I don't believe in outer space.
Okay.
I don't. So when people say, "Oh, the universe is so big, we can't be the only fucking thing in the world," if you take away the universe, then we can be the only fucking thing in the world.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
I don't believe in satellites.
Okay.
I don't think that they exist. Have you looked at the ISS live YouTube channel?
No.
You know the International Space Station that's up there?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
They have a live feed 24 hours a day. Up 454 miles, I think, above Earth. And it's 24 hours a day. And I don't ever see one fucking satellite in that feed. Ever. And there's over 1,400 satellites orbiting Earth. And I don't see one. There's over 500,000 pieces of space junk orbiting Earth. And when I watch that ISS live feed, I don't see any. That's fucking weird.
Yeah, I feel like they would definitely.
Wouldn't there? Or it's all on the other side of the fucking galaxy that day, eh? You know what I fucking mean? I mean, I implore you to look up the ISS live feed.
Yeah, like there's like the ISS and then all the space junk on the opposite side of it.
Yes.
Oh,
And
no.
here's the thing is
Okay,
they're
I can
they're
get
up
that.
there, you know, they're up there at the ISS.
Yeah, yeah.
They've got a camera on Earth, of course, and you can't see the whole Earth. It's not. They don't ever zoom out so that you can see the whole Earth. They never give me a 180 degree. Now, if I was up in space, if I was up on the fucking moon back in the day, if I was in space, do you think that I'd be taking one fucking picture of shit? I'd be doing a 3 motherfucking 60. NASA, go up there on the ISS and give me a 360 shot of, you know, the solar system. They won't do it because they're not up there. In my humble opinion. Again, I'm not saying I'm fucking right at all.
Well, no. So there's this thing. Have you heard about hologram theory?
Yeah. Well, would that be hologram? Could that be where some of the people say that there wasn't even really a plane hitting the building at 9/11, like that type of hologram?
No. I
Okay.
have heard about that. That's kind of intriguing. But hold on. No. Like hologram theory, where like this exists. So it's like the basis of flat Earth.
Okay.
Flat Earth kind of took it to like a whole new level, but it's like we're like almost we're plugged into a matrix where this is like virtual reality. So like this is like a hologram, like we're like in like some kind of tube, and our conscious is being projected here, because apparently there's a study where like light it acts as both waves and particles.
Okay.
And like particles being like light creates the matter. Apparently, like this I'm just repeating.
Yeah.
So like this is beyond my realm, but this is like I'm just repeating it. So it acts as particles and wavelengths, and when there's an observer, it acts as particles. So like there's something there, like it acts as particles. It creates this table. With there being an observer,
Okay.
it creates reality, and then when we're not around to observe it, it's just wavelength. There's nothing.
So, okay, is this the theory where I go out to eat, right? And I order something. What's underneath that platter isn't there until I fucking look at it.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's a rough one for me,
I
man.
know.
It's very rough for me.
I haven't heard, like, I saw that, like, I saw the science experiment. It was on YouTube, and the guys were explaining it, and it was like just like this hour-long documentary about it. and then like I can't find anything on the internet about it.
It's
Like,
so you know what I'm talking about too. Then okay,
yeah,
so I
like,
saw something similar to what you did.
yeah, like I hear like philosophical, like people talking philosophically about it, but like I know I saw this study on the internet. Like, well, it was just a YouTube documentary that these like PhD or like the guys who are recreating it like did, and I can't find anything like scientific about it since then.
It's weird. They hide
Yeah,
stuff, huh?
Yeah, it's. But
Man.
and then yeah, and they keep us drugged in like different ways, like high sugar.
Oh my God!
So-
Sugar is so hard for me to get off. Man.
It is. It's the so it's the most addicting like dopamine releasing addiction. It's more addicting than cocaine. So there was this doctor in at Western Washington University. He was doing a memory study on his mice, and he was using cocaine. He was like seeing how cocaine affected their memory and stuff. And he was just running like a sample study, and he was using sugar water and cocaine water, and then like he couldn't like get any difference. Like
Serious.
yeah, and then he used just cocaine powder and sugar, like powdered sugar, and he couldn't get any difference. And then he took out sugar and he like used like white flour or just like some white powder, like maybe a white starch or something. And then he found like what he was looking for, and he went back and he started investigating sugar and started MRI, doing an fMRI on the mice and giving them sugar. And like it releases more dopamine and is more physically addicting than cocaine.
Wow.
Like, yeah, and then when he compared it with the cocaine fMRIs in the brain, the one it lit up, or the CAT scans, excuse me, lit up more with the sugar than the cocaine.
What about Pizzagate? Have you looked into any of that?
I think Pizzagate's a false flag, but there is proof that there is a pedophile ring going on within like the upper class and like higher government officials and judges.
It's weird how like a lot of any of that stuff just disappears out of the news. So if
Yeah.
there is something that's going on that's hidden very well, even different like Facebook and Twitter and shit like that, if you're putting anything out about it, it'll go away.
Yeah.
So it's like that they're like supporting or trying to help hide that shit.
Yeah.
So it gets that mixed up.
Well, like, they got Avicii, that, he's a DJ for, like, EDM. His most recent video was about a pedophile sex ring, like his music video was. And then he wound up dead with an overdose. This guy, he's a heavy drug user, and he overdosed. No, he used drugs all the time, and he did it responsibly, like the community does. Like people in the community, they do drugs responsibly. They know how to do them. They've been doing them for a long time, and he gets the purest of drugs. So like what happened was, they said that he overdosed on like methanine or something, which is like a similar thing. If that's what it is, or like, but this is like the story I've heard. But like he just had an overdose, but that makes no sense for a DJ who's been doing drugs as long as him to overdose on that. And it's more than coincidental that it was right after his new music video exposed the pedophile ring within like the corporate industry. And like some say the music industry, but whatever rich he rubbed shoulders with, there was a pedophile ring going on. And either, because he started young, like either he got like kind of wrapped into it, or like was drugged and stuff happened to him, or he somehow knew about it and exposed it, and then he's been killed.
Yeah, you know, did you hear about Allison Mack? She is an actress on Smallville. And
yeah.
You have?
Yeah.
She's supposed to be saying some names that are going to involve Hillary and the Rothschilds, I think. And she was in the news, and what's going on now? Like, I haven't heard anything. You know, people are supposed to be branded with her initials and I think Kenneth Rainier or something or other. And, you know, she was supposed to bring children into this and was selling people to people and shit.
Well, see, and like with her being caught, that's why I think Pizzagate's a false flag. Is I think they're like, oh yeah, like some idiot believed like a troll bot or something, and then they like pushed all their efforts for the media to be like, oh yeah, this Pizzagate, and then so like people believed it, and it wasn't real. It was a misdirection. Like the pedophile ring is real, but the false flag is that it was at Pizzagate.
Right.
Is my thinking. So like they just used it to distract us and have us forget that, hey, there is evidence of a pedophile ring going on. They just, at the Pizzagate was like kind of a dead end trail. Like it was a red herring, a literal red herring, just a misdirection of where to look. So then like the general public, the people who work 9 to 5, who put in 40 hours and are too exhausted to think about it on their free time and can't think about it at work, like that's another way they keep us drugged, is through like our hormones. They manipulate our hormones and keep us like dosed in cortisol, which is why we can't think as clear, and that's like why it's harder for us. Like we age faster than the rich, than the 1% that are doing this to us. They're just setting up a system and taking advantage of things, and that's what these false flags really are. Is like they are really happening. They are really false flags, but they're not how you're hearing about them on mainstream social media. And like it's so like once you see the pattern and you see, it's like catching. So yeah, it's just like catching a liar, or like an ex-girlfriend who's cheating on you. Like words mean nothing, and that's what like these leaders are doing. They're saying these words, and their behavior is one thing. So if you follow the string of behavior, and then you see like in like psychology and behaviorism, you look at what's called regression of the mean, or just like their average behavior, and you can start to understand and predict their behavior. That's also why that follows the same principle of like a lie detector. The reason why it's not admissible in court isn't because it doesn't detect like your nervousness, is that your nervousness can be controlled. The only people who can really tell that, like, there are lie detectors, and they're human beings, and they're people who've known you long enough to know your tells. So it's only like through experience of knowing that person, because like that's why lie detectors aren't admissible in court. But like tying that back to like the rich people, the Rothschilds, have you ever watched Game of Thrones, or like older stuff like that? So like what you see in Game of Thrones is a literal representation of what's happening. Like rich families marry, they outlive us, and they marry, and the only thing that has changed from the 1400s is our tech. Our social behavior hasn't evolved, and like that's what we keep trying to do. But then we all buy into this divide and conquer agenda that they learn through the social psychologists, and like it really is a beautiful thing, and a terrible thing, but it's a beautiful thing they've constructed. I went on a little tangent, but
no, that's fine, man.
Oh yeah, Game of Thrones. The Rothschilds and the Hiltons just married. Like Paris Hilton's. Paris. Well, this was a few years ago. Paris's younger sister just married a Rothschild.
Really?
Yeah. So it's like the union of like Game of Thrones. They still do that same bullshit. Like now they're allies, and now they're teaming up, and now like the British control of the Rothschilds has the U.S. influence from the Hiltons, and it really is like that behavior is still there. Like it hasn't changed.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
I didn't know about that one.
And did you hear about Conrad Hilton?
No.
Like if you want to like really see like class warfare and just different privileges, Conrad Hilton, the son of Paris Hilton's younger brother, had a psychosis break on an airplane from like a coke binge psychosis break, and he started calling everyone. He assaulted, like hit or like pushed down or somehow assaulted. That's all like any article would say about it. But assaulted an airline hostess or a flight attendant, and was screaming at smoked a bowl of pot on the plane, which is supposed to be a federal crime. And was screaming at everyone that they're all peasants and that he owns them.
Conrad Hilton was?
Yeah, he had a psychosis break, and so that's the same principle that corporations use. Like if there's one person, like one unsatisfied customer talking shit about you, there's 20 like more, like, or it's like tenfold more that you're not hearing about.
Right.
Conrad had a psychosis break, and he told us the truth of what they're saying behind our backs, is that they still view us as peasants, and they think they own us, just like they did back in the day, like
Yeah.
back when they were like serfs, and it's all in the behavior, and like you just watch, like you just like words are nice and words are fun, and it's a great way to connect and stuff like that, but it's behavior in the end that really determines, and like that follow through, that integrity of what are you going to have the integrity to? Are you going to have integrity to this biological urge to consume, over compete, and like make to the point where you make people suffer? Or are you going to have the integrity of what you go out there and say that you're going to do as a leader, and like help people out and take care of them, and like do the integral thing and not waste money doing something, and like put money back into the infrastructure? And like it's just, we had such a beautiful thing at the beginning of America, and we were headed in such a right direction, but it's been stolen from us, like sadly.
Since
like,
the Federal Reserve came into play?
Yep.
That's a big part,
That's
right?
that's one of them. Like, this country gets indebted for printing money.
Yep.
What the shit?
Yeah.
What the shit?
Automatically in debt. It's perfect for them.
My God.
It's perfect.
Well, and so here's another thing that shows like there's no integrity, and like it really, like, this one really chaps me is so we're a capitalist nation, supposed to be, and you look at loans, how they operate loans. Well, that's like, well, and how does loans show like we're not really like a capitalist, or like there's no integrity? Is that the richer you are, the better interest rate you have. And the reason being, they say, is that if you're poor and you have bad credit, you can't, you're a higher risk, and so you should be punished and have a higher APR. But actually, that's quite the opposite. If you want to secure money, you would give the poor person a lower APR, and if you're a true capitalist, you give the rich person who can afford the higher APR a higher APR. But no, it just shows that we're an oligarchy. And it's funny, it also how the rich divide and conquer us is through capitalism and communism. Like, there's never been a true capitalist nation, and there's never been a true communist nation. We've always been an oligarchy. And that's like, a monarchy is like a form of an oligarchy, but where there's like one oligarch in control. But like, as you'd see in like Britain and Spain, and, well, not Rome, but you'd see these oligarchs once, like, the monarchy got to an ambiguous place, these lesser kings would combat to be like the top oligarch, but it's still a form of like an oligarchy where you have like this inner circle controlling the masses. And like, and then they keep us dumb. Like, our education system like is meant not to teach us. It's like
100%.
It's meant to condition us. And like, what I learned going to college is that it's just another step of just lapdog training, of
Indoctrination.
Indoctrination. Jump through this hoop, because I started connecting dots in psychology and telling them how Freud was right, and then I started getting like bad grades, like, well, like
Really?
certain professors.
Yeah.
And there were some who took that offensive, and then that reflected in my grade.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is bullshit. Like, I have my own opinion, and it's supported by science and facts. Like, you don't have to agree with it, and you can still argue against my hypothesis. That's what you're supposed to do in science. Like, science was like the last bastion of integrity, and it's quickly being diminished, like, day by day, and it's frustrating. Like, just based on how humans psychologically develop, we should not have the education system structured the way it is. Like, we need to be we need to do what Japan does, but not in such a manufactured way. We need to let our kids play and grow and develop, but like, teach them logical concepts at the same time.
Yeah.
But then what Japan does is they teach them manners and like respect in
That's
certain
good.
settings, and like, that's kind of like what we need for like everyday like social interaction.
It should be common sense, but it's not.
Yeah. And that's and also that would help combat these school shootings. Like, looping back to that, like, it would help combat these school shootings where that blonde chick was smiling and saying that like she knew the shooter. They were doing this to this kid who had no one. That kid had no one to teach him right from wrong, and he listened to his animal instinct, and he did the good human thing, and that was defend himself. And while socially that was bad, and we all know that morally it's bad, he did the proper animalistic thing, listened to his DNA and defended himself the only way he knew how. And you can take away the guns. There was a failed attempt at a Utah school where a kid tried to build a bomb. Wait till they figure out how to build like mustard gas and like these poisonous gases that you can make in your home. Like, you think school shootings are bad. Wait till like a school gets gassed and it's an entire school that gets killed. Like,
Yeah.
you can take away guns. Those are like the primitive means of killing. Like, if like you teach students about, like, you teach young kids about guns and like proper gun care and like responsibility, they'll understand how to defend themselves and they'll be creative enough if there is a shooting to survive. But like, it's not a gun issue, it's a mental health and a social acceptable behavioral issue, and it's sad, dude.
If it was a gun issue, then ghettos and inner city slum schools would be shot up daily on the regular,
right? Yeah,
because they have tons of that. I mean, come on,
No
right?
kidding, yeah.
It's not a fucking gun thing at all, guys.
No, yeah, like, oh my god, dude, like,
Right? That's the point to think about.
there's just and like they call us conspiracy theorists and they call us these crazy people, and like they mock us and they say it in this derogatory way, but it's like we're using like science and facts and logic, like stuff that society is founded on, like that they'll trust their phone but they won't trust the information or the methodology that created that phone.
Exactly.
Like, it's like, hey, I'm just following this logistical pattern. Oh no, you're a conspiracy theorist. It's like, oh, okay. But I'm using like logic and science. What do you mean I'm a crazy person? Like, it's absurd, and it's just divide and conquer.
It is. Not think about anything or discredit anything.
They keep us drugged with sugar and cortisol from long days' work. They always talk about there being a job deficiency. You want to know a quick way of fixing the job deficiency? Mm-hmm. Make it a 30-hour work week, a 3-day weekend, and it created like 60% job creation. Like,
now, since you were talking about school and stuff, how do you feel about school? How do you feel about dinosaurs?
Dinosaurs. There's evidence that we were alive when dinosaurs were around.
Yeah?
Yeah, like the human species, like in some, like, I think the Atlanteans had dinosaurs is what I'm...
Now, see, I have to read into this Atlantean because I don't know about it, but I don't believe in dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Fuck no. Yeah. They've never found a full skeleton.
That's a good point.
They've never found a full skeleton. Every one that you see in all the museums are all replicas because the real bones are all hidden away, stashed somewhere. So everything you see is a fucking replica.
So this highlights the Smithsonian conspiracy.
Okay.
There was proof of giants. Back in 1921, Hitler marched down into Southeast Asia for proof of aliens and giants. And there was a newspaper article in an Indian newspaper, and then Hitler marched down there, and now all of a sudden there's no more talk of these giants, like this giant footprint, and these bones were supposedly like this skeleton of this giant was supposedly found, and then like the Smithsonian came in and like mopped it up. Apparently, that's like the conspiracy. But every like real artifact, what you're talking about, like with the dinosaurs, you're right. Every real artifact goes to like the Smithsonian and this governmental
release, like where they can control on what we see and what we don't see.
And also, back to dinosaurs real quick, you gotta tell me how they reproduced. You gotta tell me how they fucked.
They were, that's a good
point. Look at them.
Like,
you know the ones with the spikes on the back?
Yeah.
Imagine if it was missionary. She'd be pushed into the ground. If it was doggy, he'd be stuck. They don't have arms to grab and penetrate each other. How the fuck did dinosaurs reproduce? Where's a full skeleton? The first bone was found in 1850, and it was 1 or 3 teeth only. And the guy who found it said, hey, this is what the rest of the motherfucking looks like. Trust me.
Interesting. I'll look into that.
Look into it, because I don't know a fucking thing.
No, you are right though. Like they're not the real bones; they are the replicas on display.
Hey,
I just kind of had like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like, fuck.
Yeah. So I mean, who knows? Okay, and something else about the teaching system that I fucking hate is they teach us that in the middle of Earth there's lava or a molten core and shit.
Yeah.
You know? I've tattooed drillers. I've fucking asked all around. The deepest hole on Earth is 8 miles, and it was in Russia. So, if anybody's going to tell me what's underneath more than 8 miles, they're a fucking liar.
Yeah.
Because no one's dug that far. So to say and teach our children, hey, this is how it is, I think that's fucking horrible.
Yeah.
There's no proof of it.
Well, and it goes against
Theories.
Well, and again, it goes against science. Like there's, it's a hypothesis. Like,
yes,
it's just a hypothesis. Like, it hasn't been fully formed into a theory, and then they force it into and then they start calling it a theory, and it goes through propaganda or public relations, and then it gets conditioned into us as a theory, and it's just like
fluoride pills helps.
Yeah.
Let's prescribe our babies fluoride pills.
Which is another thing, dude.
Ooh.
They keep us drugged and dumb, and so I actually think humans are psychic, and I think there is going back to Nikola Tesla, energy waves and vibrations, and frequency. Your thought patterns are energy, and they create vibrations and frequencies. And if someone's attuned to that, from long distances, you can connect with someone. And I know this for a fact because back in October 2011, when I was on mass amphetamine pills, I know people are gonna say oh, it was a psychosis, but I hadn't had enough to have a psychosis trip yet, and I was still in normal thinking phase. But I started having these really worried thoughts about an ex-girlfriend's mom, and just I was in distress, and I knew she was in pain, and I was having nightmares and night sweats for 3 days. And so finally I reach out to my ex, and I'm like, hey, how's it going? And send her a funny picture at the time. It was back in the early days of smartphones. Yeah. And she goes, not good. My mom just had a stroke, a pretty serious one, and I just but I knew I started thinking about her on this Tuesday, and I was having these severe just racing thoughts about her just in the middle of class, and I thought it was a side effect of the pills, but I just had this weird I knew she was wasn't okay, or I just had this negative connection, feeling about her that something wasn't good. And then I was having nightmares the next 2 nights, and I hit her up on a Friday and that's when she told me. And we have these connections, and when you have connections about when you have connections with people, and you'll out of nowhere there'll be no trigger, nothing to remind you, you'll be thinking of them, a thought will pop in, it's them really thinking about that time or that moment with you, and you guys still share that